Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it. Greetings, Algo Artisans Cowboy here. It is 6:22 p.m. EST is the time of this recording, and we're going to take a look at the charts today, take a look at some possible trades for the NASDAQ, Bitcoin, USDCAD, EURUSD, AUDUSD, gold, and silver. Before we get into that, take a look in the description. There is a freebie for you in there. There is a free algo. It's a very quick video. It's like 15 minutes. I put it together. I built an algo before your eyes. I also show you the tools that traders use to connect their algo to their broker so their computer can trade for them when they're not even sitting at the computer. They might be golfing, sleeping, swimming, whatever it is you might do. Now, you do have to optimize the algo before you plug it in. We show you how to do such things at algofactory.tech. Come join us, learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. Also, like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. That helps us out. Before we take a look at the charts, we're going to take a look over at the economic data that's coming out this week, and it is a pretty big week. We have the CPI and PPI coming out. That's Wednesday and Thursday. So let's go ahead and get into it over at forexfactory.com. Tuesday at 12:30 a.m. EST, we have the Aussie cash rate and Royal Bank of Australia monetary policy statements. So if you're trading anything related to the Aussie currency or perhaps their stock market, that can affect things. Tuesday's pretty quiet. Wednesday is the CPI, and that's at 8:30 a.m. EST. I'm not going to try and predict how that's going to come out because things are pretty wacky right now. However, that can certainly affect everything in the whole world, but especially US related, whether it's the dollar, forex markets, or the stock markets. And then at 2 a.m. EST, we have the British GDP, so that can affect the pound or anything British related. The following morning, 8:30 a.m. EST on Thursday, we have the PPI, which is like the CPI. It's an inflation metric. And if it's really different than the expected, that really can cause a stir in markets as well, especially dollar related markets. And that's pretty much it for the news this week. There is some news at 10 a.m. EST on Friday, the retail sales data, the University of Michigan consumer sentiment, and that, of course, can affect markets, but it's not as high impact as the CPI is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the charts, and we'll start with the NASDAQ. So here is the NASDAQ, and I don't expect a whole lot this week, right? Now, the CPI can throw a wrench in the works, but right now, we had this big move up in the NASDAQ last week, and it appears that we're going to see a retracement, right? So starting on Wednesday, the 29th of July, the move actually started up. I predicted the move up on this show, by the way. And that move up ended up being a total of about a 10%, 11% move in the market. And it pretty much had finished by Wednesday, the 5th last week, right? And right now it does appear like it's going to go sideways, perhaps head back down. I think ultimately it will head back down, but this week, the market's pretty quiet. The CPI could send it really in either direction. It could send it up. It could also send it down depending on which way that CPI happens. But until that happens, all I can say is that things look pretty quiet. It's probably going to go sideways with a lower bound of 29,220 or so and an upper bound of the recent high of 30,114. So any type of trades that I'd be interested in would be maybe for swing trades, something around this bottom level at this 29,220 or so, maybe a swing trade long, but I'd be real careful trading around that CPI. I would ideally wait until that CPI was done, see how things happened, until that time. But if price did make its way down pretty quick, maybe tomorrow, a nice swing there might make sense. If price made its way up to this 30,100 or so, again, then I'd be looking for a short around that area. And that is contingent on the CPI and PPI not being pretty crazy or some kind of, Iran news or something like that. Today, there was a tweet from President Trump and caused me to lose about 70% of my profits on the day. And I did get those profits back and stayed above break even. But such things do happen, right? We're in that world right now. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Big win on Bitcoin last week. I called this short out and it was a winner. Now, the short that I originally called would not have been at the take profit level just yet. That's actually down here, right? But I did take off half the profit right about the current level. In the last hour or so, I took off half the profit of the short. So the short actually looked something like this. It's not the exact short, but it's something pretty close to this. And I took off I put stop to entry this morning, took half the profit off right about where it is right now, and I'll let the rest run. And I may actually want to move my stop to something like here, right about 64,282. I'll let the Algo Factory folks know that that is what I'm doing. I do post my trades in there ahead of time. I don't tell them that's what they're supposed to trade. That's not what we do. We're not a signal service, but I do share my trades and I share them ahead of time. So that's how that works. What do I think is going to happen now? Let's take a look because I just erased a lot of stuff. So let's put it back on the chart. I think it's going to grind down. CPI could be a surprise either way. It could push price up, push price down. I'm going to remove this line right here. I would not be interested in too many trades outside of the structural levels at this time, especially with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is pretty calm. I think it's heading into its bear market phase. I think it will eventually head down, but if price can make its way back up to 65 for 20 or so, roughly there, I'd look for a short. And if it could make its way down to this lower bound down here, which is at 62,180 or so, I would be interested in a long trade at that time. And it would also depend on what's happening with CPI, the rest of the market, what the algos say, so on and so forth. But those are the areas of interest. Okay, let's move on to USDCAD. Big one on this one as well. I actually got this little move up right here and called the exits out ahead of time. And this move down here, I thought it was going to happen later, happened a lot sooner than I thought it would, but it went exactly as I thought it would. Now, I do expect a fair amount of chop this week. It's going to be difficult to trade this week. If we get a surprise on the CPI either way, that could give us an opportunity or two, but I think the Canadian's just going to chop sideways and it's going to probably stay above the lower bound of 139.01 and below the upper bound of 139.92. If price made it down to that lower bound, I might be interested in a long as usual, of course, without CPI being there to foul up the game. So maybe after the CPI happens or well before it. If it's around that time, I probably won't trade it at all until at least the CPI comes out. If price somehow made it to that upper bound, then of course I'd be interested in a short, just like I am with most of the trades this week. Just structural swing trades in play. And of course, I don't enter these willy-nilly. I wait for the algos to tell me that I can go, the conditions to line up. I measure my stop losses, right? This is just an idea of what I'm looking at. The exact trade is a different story. Let's take a look at the euro. Big win on this one. I got this short. Actually, it was this short right here. So if you look on last week's video, you see that I had a short in play right about here. And the exit was almost perfect. I really did well on this trade. And I did it publicly. Of course, Algo Factory got to see me do it. So that was awesome. I do expect just to grind down and to the right. CPI might be a surprise either way. If price makes it to the lower bound right here of 115.15, I might look for a long. Or the upper bound here at 115.82, I might look for a short. It just depends on all the factors at play, whether or not CPI is in the way and fouling things up, whether or not the algos tell me I can go short or long. But those are the areas of interest as they are with most of the charts this week and last week too. The only surprise last week was gold and silver. They were a bit more bullish than I expected, but as you may remember, I wasn't trading it last week. I wasn't touching gold and silver because they were just not very predictable. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Aussie. Aussie, I expect the same thing as pretty much everything else. It's a bit more bullish than most of the charts. So if we do get a long down here, as we might with a lot of other charts, I would be wanting to trade the Aussie before like the euro or some other currencies because it's just a bit more bullish. The price of gold and the Aussie tend to be related to each other. So when gold is strong, the Aussie tends to be strong. And therefore, I would be looking to long that area if price made its way down to 7023. That's 0.7023. Excuse me, that's 0.7023 USD to the Aussie. Now, if price made its way up to this upper bound at 0.7078 USD, I probably would look to the other currencies, perhaps the euro, to go short on that because the Aussie is just more bullish. If the algos and metrics changed at that time, I would choose whichever one was best for the trade. Let's take a look at gold. Gold continues to be bullish, poking through 43.90, approaching 4,400. This was a big move. This could go one of two ways. Well, it could go one of a lot of ways, but it really wants to still go up, at least in the near term. I don't know that it's ready to do the big breakout. It could be, it's possible, but I think it might, sort of muddle up and to the right, and CPI could have an effect. I don't know that I have much trade availability on this. If anything, I would look for a breakout trade on this. I probably would only trade long right now, and I'd look for a pullback after a breakout above this level, which I will name for you. And that level is at 43.90 or so. If price broke above that and I got a decent pullback, I'd look to go long right there, and I would be careful around the CPI as I am with everything else. So whether this happens sooner or maybe later, that would be the trade I'm interested in. Let's take a look at silver. Again, bullish, doing great. With silver, I would be playing it the same same way. Now, silver has pretty much already broken out. Pullback already happened, but there is a little structural level here that might be worth a breakout play. So that might be the game. I'll name that level for you shortly, but a breakout, a nice pullback to the levels as you see on the screen. And that level of breakout is at 67.21. And I probably would be out by this upper level at 71.89. I'd probably be out well before that as well. So that's what we're looking at for the week. And this is what we do at Algo Factory. We predict where price is going to go, when it's going to get there. We extract money from those movements, and we teach people how to do just that very thing. This is a systematic, probabilistic, data science way of trading. This isn't gambling. This isn't, I think it's going to go up, so I'm just going to buy it. No, we actually do this to where you understand the probability that you're going to win over the long term. It takes work. It takes study. We're very good at what we do. As a matter of fact, if you want to see a preview of how we do it, go into the description, get the free algo. The algo shows you how I build an algo. And then I also show you the tools traders use to connect that algo to their broker so I can trade for them without them sitting at the computer. Now, you do have to optimize the algo before you do that. Come to algofactory.tech in order for us to teach you how to optimize that or any other algo that you may build. Algofactory.tech, learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. EST. That's Tuesday. We're also going to start a new series where I teach one of our brand new traders how to start from scratch. She doesn't know how to trade, not familiar with markets, and I'm going to start making those videos with her once a week tomorrow as well. That'll be free on YouTube. So keep an eye out for that. If you get the algo, you'll be put on a newsletter, and I would be able to link you to that free series on that newsletter as it comes out, which should be starting later this week as that gets put on YouTube. So like, subscribe, check us out. We'll see you tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. sharp. Thanks for watching.